Good afternoon, everyone. Our next session dives into the technology that is rapidly reshaping our industry, generative AI and its impact on audiovisual archives. Today we will hear about the results of the survey data from the Value, Use and Copyright Commission of FIAT IFTA. We have here two respected members of this commission they will illustrate the results and the critical issues that this survey outlined. I'm very much looking forward to this. So yeah, I'm pleased to introduce our speakers: Dale Grayson, Managing Director of Northbound TV, right? And Louise Broch, which is researchers and archivist at the Danish Broadcasting Corporation. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Dale and Louise. Thank you.
Thank you, Marco, and thank you all for joining us, and good afternoon. As Marco said, we are Dale and Louise. We are the chair and co-chair of the Value, Use and Copyright Commission. And I'm going to preface this short presentation by saying we don't by any means pretend to be experts in the subject of AI. This is our finding, no one is. But what we have been doing is talking to people who are interested in the subject and are dealing with the subject of AI. So over the last 12 months or so, our commission has been looking into AI impacts on audiovisual archives. We know that that subject can mean different things to different people. However, we're not concerning ourselves with how AI tools can help to manage archive collections. Instead, we're looking at the potential value around generative AI and how archives might work with AI tech companies to train AI algorithms, but also the rights and copyright implications in that complicated subject. That said, we ran a survey for the FIAT IFTA membership last year, which did go a little wider on the AI topic, as we tried to understand where everyone in the community is at with this. Louise is going to present the results of that survey for us, and then we'll take a little bit of a deeper dive into the subject of allowing archive content to be used for large language model training. We touched on this subject during an online panel that we ran for the FIAT IFTA community in April this year. If you've not seen it, that recording is available on the FIAT IFTA YouTube channel. It's 90 minutes, but you might want to spin through and have a look. And after Louise has given her presentation about the survey, I'll talk about a paper that we're currently writing, which sets out some of the considerations, lots of things to think about when allowing your archive to be used for AI training. Over to you.
Thank you. Can you open? Yes, it opened. Great. Yes, I want to tell you a little bit about the findings we had from this survey we made last year. We had 21 respondents. It's not many respondents, but it was a quite deep survey with a lot of information from each respondent. So it is really much a view into the current state of GenAI in our archives. So when we asked our respondents if they use generative AI in some capacity in their archives, 90% said yes. But as you can see, there is a gap between GenAI entering our archives to how we manage this. So actually, half of the respondents said that they didn't have an AI policy yet, and they hadn't created new roles for handling GenAI in their archives. So we have a small gap between how to control GenAI in our archives. So we have to run fast now, I think.
I see many people in the back standing. There are places here in front if you want to come and sit. Thank you. Sorry, Louise.
Yes, what we asked for was how GenAI is used in our archives at the moment, and of course it's running very fast. So this is in the moment of last year. So, but I think Many of our archives have used AI, GenAI, for enhancing the searchability with summaries, keywords, and face recognition. We have also used it for enhancing video quality or colorization. And some use it for summaries of debates, data-driven news. And some use LLMs and chatbots in the research phase. And some use it for generation of photos for articles. And some use it for coding of new tools in the archives. And this part is really a nice thing, that you can use less time of coding because you can use GenAI to help you. So our respondents already see a lot of positive cases with the impact of GenAI in our archives. Our rare collections without metadata will be more accessible due to help from AI and GenAI. And the archival circuit linked to media offers via broadcast has been automated with GenAI for some of our respondents. And a lot of us use automated keywords, and it will make it easier to find content in our archives. And of course, many of us use transcribing voice to text, but it will also help us in translations between languages in the future. What I like in this part here with the positive cases, that GenAI has resulted in better use of experts' knowledge because they get more time for creativity instead of using their time on daily course. And I really like that. I think we should keep that in mind when proceeding with GenAI. Of course, we also have negative impacts. The positive are that we can do much more work in shorter time. Our collections will get up to the service. It's more easy for us to develop our tools. Image editing has become much easier, and underserved audiences can get more help when we use GenAI in our archives. And we can use it for upscaling our SD videos to HD or even 4K video. The negative things about it, because there are a lot of negative sides of GenAI, that we have too high expectations of what GenAI can help us with. And the authenticity problem we always see with the GenAI, that it gives a layer of uncertainty to our work because the level of mistakes AI can make is much higher. We also heard about it this morning, that it threatens our authenticity. The increasing use of AI in content production is threatening our rights issues. So it is really needed that we make new metadata guidelines so GenAI won't ruin rights in our archives. And it's very important that when we work with GenAI, that we also speak with rights holders and try to find out how if they are aware of us using their content. And then we ask people how the ideal future of GenAI would be in the archives. And of course, I've always already said it, that it will create and enrich metadata in our archives, and we can use it for visual recognition, restoration, colorization, summaries of meetings. It's more, in the administrative part of using GenAI, text editing, and integrate different tools more easily with GenAI. For our users or customers, we can suggest clips, stills of interest for clients based on a brief. Maybe we could have some, I know that we already do it in my organization, have customer support with GenAI help. And we can generate new content to disabled people. It'll be more easy for us to publish news stories and so on social media. And some say that maybe we can get help from GenAI for securing our archives and securing for the threats from frauds in our archives. And then we also asked our respondents how they deal with supplier companies, companies who want to train their machines on our content, and when we want to implement GenAI tools and want to use an AI developer. The advice from our respondents were that we should ensure compliance with data protection laws. And if it's possible, we should deploy AI systems in the internal technical areas to ensure that the transfer of data will happen inside our archives and not externally. And it's also important that we use trusted partner companies, someone that we know that won't take advantage of our content. So long-term partnerships will strengthen this trust. And of course, it's really, really important with rights. We must clear rights before we use our materials for AI purposes. But this was only a short summary of all our findings. We have made an article about more of the findings in the survey, so please read it on our website, the Value Use and Copyright Commission's website, on the FIAT IFTA page. And then I'll give the floor to Dale.
Thank you. Thanks, Louise. So now we'll take a little bit of a short but deeper dive into the subject of using audiovisual archives for AI or large language model training. I'm not going to set out whether this is a good or a bad thing to do. That's not up for us to offer an opinion. But what we do want to do is help archives to work that out for themselves, whether this is something you would like to get into or not. So, as Louise has mentioned, maybe this is a question of policy. What is your policy for your organisation? And we want to give guidance to rights holders and archive owners on how to set a policy in your organisation and some of the things to be considered as you work on your thinking. And just to note, for full transparency, the images you'll see in my presentation were created by ChatGPT. They were based on me inputting a prompt. I don't think they're great, but I've kept them in so we can see what they're like. I could have probably found some better ones. So let's get into this. We've been working with the Archival Producers Alliance, who are based in the United States, on a new Trust in Archives initiative to develop AI guidance for the archive community. And one topic we want to help with is, what do you do if a technology company approaches you and asks for access to your archives? We all hear that technology companies have been scraping the internet for what they can find, and their AI algorithms may be based on that information, but now they might want access to our archive collections to do further training of the algorithm. They want the stuff that's not online, the content that you hold that they cannot easily access without going through you. And what should we do? Is this a business opportunity for us, or is it a risk to our day-to-day business? Just to summarize in terms of what we mean by generative AI, when we talk about this, we mean the use of AI tools to create new content such as text, music, audio, video, and images like the terrible ones in my presentation. Those AI tools work on large data sets, and so we have to question, where does that data come from? And if you add your archive content or data into the mix, does this actually mean that the algorithm gets better, and archives have a good role to play in helping to develop algorithms that are more truthful and more accurate in the AI landscape? Or does this present your particular organisation with too many challenges? And one big question that layers across all of this, and Louise has mentioned, is rights ownership, and the copyright and legal landscape that we're all operating in, which may differ across territories. But essentially, we need to think about policy. Do you have one? And if you don't, what will it be? And this came up in the conversations we're having, is actually, who are these companies that want access to your archive? And I list a few types here. These are just ones that we've come across in the course of our work. There may be others, and through the course of this week, if you know of other types of companies, do let us know. We're interested to know more in this. But one key point to dig into here is our recommendation is do lots of due diligence around the companies. Are they reputable? Are they trustworthy? Are they legitimate? Importantly, are they secure? When they're handling your data and your media, how are they doing that in a secure way? How do they propose to interface into your technology infrastructure? Do they have a good track record in this area? Who else are they working with? And maybe some of you will be interested in, are they going to pay you? Because there are different models out there. And as we've discovered, are they going to be around long enough to be in a true partnership with you to work with your content? We're hearing of like companies that start up and nobody knows really who they are or what they're doing. Really, and this is anecdotally something I heard from in the conversations we've having, you don't want to be entering into an exclusive partnership for access to all of your archive with a startup technology company that might disappear in 2 years and you never see a penny from them. And that has happened. We've heard this. My prompt here was Tech Bro meets Film Archivist. So I think they did all right on the Tech Bro, but they think the Film Archivist is a doctor. So now the Film Archivist is thinking that she's no longer a doctor, and she appears to have nothing in her head either. But 5 things to start us off. If you're thinking about setting policy, what are 5 considerations? Well, number 1, the rights. This is the big one. Knowing what rights the technology company wants and can you grant them sits across everything. And in a way, that's no different to any other use of archives ever. We're always asking that question is, how is the archive being used and do we have the right to do that or to grant someone else the right to do what they want to do? And then how are you going to paper a deal to lock down that grant of rights? How is that right defined legally? And what are you going to put into a license agreement to help reassure yourself that a technology company will adhere to that grant of rights? And this might be a completely new right that none of us have ever defined before, so find yourself a good lawyer. And then you might need to include some data privacy measures. We all know that archive content is littered with multiple contributions and sensitivities. And if you do have sensitive content, well, firstly, would you even include it in a deal? And if you do, you want to know how that's going to be managed and controlled. And you might want to be thinking about quality control. If your content is being used to create generative AI outputs, what does that look like? And do you even have any control over those outputs as the rights holder that's putting your content in? And then there's a question of ethics. You don't want your content to be used to create harmful outputs or false or misleading content or violent or pornographic images. And again, through your deal that you might do, would you have any control over that? So she's thinking about some quite big topics there, but she's found 5 more. And the other film archivist has come and he's now a man. So they're now asking more questions in terms of, should we do this? Should we be setting a policy? How do we protect our brand? And the brand might mean different things to different people. So that might be your reputation as a company, your parent company brand, the archive brand itself, your individual program title brands. If you allowed one of your flagship programs to be used for AI training, how does that impact the brand of that title? And then you get into the brand of and reputations of your contributors within your films and TV shows. How does this affect their individual brand if you allow that content to be used? We've already touched on rights, but just to add that the legal landscape in this area is complex and rapidly changing and differs across different territories. So ideally, someone in your organisation will be well versed in that, or you need to find someone who is. And depending who your senior managers might be interested in this, if you allow your content to be used for AI training, does it in any way affect the valuation of your content or how you do your business? And that might be a long-term thought process. You need to be thinking, okay, I've allowed my content to be used, but does that mean that what I do day to day is impacted in any way? I've mentioned all the due diligence that you would need to do around a technology company itself. And finally, of course, you might enter into a deal with a technology company and it could potentially be quite lucrative, and that in itself could be attractive and good enough reason to do it. But from what we're hearing, we would absolutely dig into the financial models being offered. And if you are going to do it, you really want to be sure you're getting paid and that you're not waiting for a payment that supposedly will come some way down the line. And again, we've heard of companies who have licensed their archives and haven't seen any financial return from that. None of that is to say you should or should not do it. There could be very good deals to be done, and there could be very good reasons to allow archive content to be used for AI training. And for the right use cases, you could make a very good contribution to the future world of AI algorithms. Because the fact is, AI is here, and it will, and is impacting every aspect of our lives. And archive content could be used to make those algorithms better. Otherwise, they're based on data and information that's not good, or isn't the complete picture. So if you put rubbish into the algorithm, you're going to get rubbish back out. Archives have a really important role to play there. However, what we are saying is, before you're the nervous archivist that dives in, there's just a lot to think about. It's not as straightforward as thinking, I can do a deal and get some money, and this would be great. In the paper that we're currently writing, we go into these 5 areas in much more detail. We're working with a technology lawyer in the US who's particularly writing quite a detailed piece around technology considerations, which is not my area of expertise, and I've learned a lot, so I would recommend reading the paper and going to her section. But these are areas where we do a bit of a deeper dive, and we hope that paper will come out by the end of this year. As I've mentioned, the work we're doing is under the banner of the new Trust in Archives initiative, to which some of us are already contributing our knowledge and expertise. I would say it needs a lot more input. We need everyone who's interested in this topic to be inputting to this particular initiative. It's a true industry collaboration. It's a little bit US focused at the moment. So if you want to input from outside the US in terms of your experience or your thinking in this area, I think they need it. There are 4 work streams to get involved in: authentication, licensing, taxonomies, and technology collaboration. It's that last one, the tech collaboration, that I've talked about today and that I've personally been involved in. And what I've talked about today is giving you a little bit of a preview about that paper that I say should come out by the end of this year. There's a URL there if you would like to get involved. It's well worth a look. The website is just a skeleton at the moment. They've literally just spun that up. But it's a place where you can go and get in touch if you would like to contribute to this work. And that's it. I hope you found Louise's summary of the AI survey results interesting. I hope that these insights from our forthcoming paper about AI training is useful. Look out for more on that. And if you want to know more about the VUC and the work that we do, please visit our page on the IFTA website, where we are constantly updating with new publications, news and articles. And thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. So we're perfect with the timing. Thank you very much for this. So I would say that the people that would like to move in another session, please do it now, because otherwise you won't have time. And for the other one that are staying, I think we have time for 1 question at least. So is there someone that would like to ask something? No? See? I don't. Yeah.
Hi. So I'm part of the Trust in Archives initiative as well. So, and I think one of the main issues that people have been seeing is like provenance, because we want, especially when you're dealing with generative AI footage in an archive, either coming in or out, I think provenance is the biggest issue, because right now any and all metadata that has been generated or will be generated hasn't been properly there hasn't been like a true standard for it now. I mean, there has been like C2PA has been doing some things. Also, I think the commission in the US for photographs has been doing some things, but there hasn't been any like a true standard for everybody to see, hey, this image was generated using this model, using this training data set and whatever. So people can distinguish now. This is what's generated by AI, and this is a normal standard image. And Google has been doing that with the Pixel phone. They have integrated C2PA, and I think a lot of manufacturers are doing that now. But I don't know, how are you going to deal with that? How is provenance going to be deal now?
So I think it's within the work streams that we've not been involved in that this is a conversation that is happening or needs to be had around adapting archive metadata standards and schemas to capture precisely this type of information, because it's all about transparency and authentication. So I don't think necessarily there's a standard answer yet, but I think what this group is usefully doing is pulling together people who are interested or indeed experts in this topic to address those types of questions. So if you're already involved in trust in archives, are you in one of these work streams? Yeah, perfect. Yeah, but we've been on this one. Okay.
Another question. The last one.
Hello, Peter Schaller, GenAI Research. I'm asking a question whether this activity is targeted towards general use of data from archives from the tech companies for general use. But I think we have also the situation that there would be research institutions out there who would like to build solutions for archive purposes. And maybe the situation could be different for this. Since we are looking for data all the time, we need the data, but it would be for the reason for making solutions for archiving processes. Yeah? And this is a difficulty today. Yeah. But we would not sell it to anybody else in the world.
I think potentially it falls into this fourth category of bespoke models around specific archive content, and I think there are potentially some good ones. So as an example, what I have heard and looked at is the potential to take a discrete archive collection around, say, natural history and wildlife material and use that for specific training to improve taxonomies and recognition of species. And when we've looked, I mean, this was a little while ago, so it's probably improved already, but when we've looked at do AI tools recognize different species of birds, they didn't. They can tell you it's a bird. So I think there are some potential really good use cases around those discrete uses working with specific partners.
And we also see it in the survey actually that you know, we just have to make proper deals and frameworks with our supplier companies so we can work together.
Thank you very much, Dale and Louise.
One more.
One more? Okay. Yeah. Go. Yeah. No. Yeah.
Hi, Brí Dooley from RT Archives, and I'm here with Dr. Una Brannock from the University in Dublin that's working with us on AI, developing some kind of a policy and framework around how we will help them to help us and also help the Irish language community in developing resources from trusted AI sources. But it's a challenge. All of the above still apply, and I think there's possibly a good case study there for the future.
Okay, we can close this fully booked